Hello, Commanders fans. Today, we have some hot news that you can't miss, so get ready because there's a lot of important information coming your way. Before we begin, we'd like to take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and stay up to date on all the news about our Washington Commanders. Don't forget to leave a like, which greatly strengthens our community and helps bring this content to the most passionate fans of the team. Now, without further ado, let's get straight to today's news. 3 dream free agents who could fuel a Commanders' defensive revitalization. Washington Commanders general manager Adam Peters has a lot of work ahead of him this offseason. Ensuring the defense receives the reinforcements it so desperately needs should be a top priority. The Commanders have already made significant changes to the defense. Durante Jones will lead the unit after impressing during the interview process, replacing fired coordinator Joe Witt Jr. Several assistant coaches have been released, and Jason Simmons has accepted a job with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This may only be the tip of the iceberg. Peters needs to attack the free agent market aggressively, especially with only 2 picks in the first 4 rounds of the 2026 NFL Draft. The Commanders have a lot of money to spend, which could exceed $100 million with additional sacrifices. No stone should be left unturned. The time for timid Washington measures is over, so doing what is necessary with purpose is crucial. Jones will have influence on the decision, based on the defensive scheme he intends to implement and the players who best fit his system. Peters would do well to act quickly, considering the number of high-level players that may be available. Obviously, not everyone will test the market, but here are 7 dream free agents who could lead Washington's defensive renaissance under Jones' command. The Washington Commanders may be preparing for a major overhaul at the safety position, and one name gaining traction behind the scenes is Jaquan Brisker. The projected contract for the player is around 3 years, worth approximately $33.26 million, a considerable investment, but one that could solve one of the team's biggest defensive problems. Currently, the Commanders' safety unit is one of the most in need of a revamp. With the exception of special teams specialist Jeremy Raves, virtually no player at the position feels secure on the roster. The expectation is that Washington will seek 2 new starters in addition to reinforcements to add depth to the group. There's been a lot of talk about the possibility of the Commanders selecting the talented Caleb Downs from Ohio State with the 7th overall pick in the draft, but management knows that relying solely on a rookie could be risky. Therefore, adding an experienced player with immediate impact and a proven track record in the NFL becomes a clear priority in free agency. It is in this scenario that Jaquan Brisker fits perfectly. The Chicago Bears safety possesses the physical stature, intensity, and versatility ideal for the defensive scheme of new coordinator Durante Jones. Furthermore, there are doubts about whether the Bears will be willing to meet the player's contractual demands, which could open the way for Washington to enter the race strongly. Brisker stands out primarily for his performance against the run. He is extremely aggressive when attacking the second level of the defense, acts with keen instinct, and at the same time demonstrates sufficient discipline to maintain correct positioning and avoid big plays. At only 26 years old, he represents not only an immediate solution, but also a solid investment for the future of the Commanders' defense. If this signing materializes, names like Will Harris and Quan Martin may end up being released. However, for a franchise that urgently needs to raise its defensive level, this would be a small price to pay for a significant and lasting improvement to the roster. The Washington Commanders may have Odafe Oweh as one of their main targets to reinforce their defense in the upcoming free agency. According to market projections, the pass rusher could sign a 3-year contract worth approximately $57.92 million, a significant investment, but one that could perfectly address one of the team's biggest needs. For general manager Adam Peters, increasing the ability to pressure the opposing quarterback should be an absolute priority this offseason. Last season, the Commanders opted to rely on veterans nearing the end of their careers to bolster the pass rush, and the result was largely negative, with the defense constantly struggling to generate pressure and impact the opponent's passing game. With Dan Quinn entering his third season, a clear change in philosophy becomes essential to avoid the same mistakes. Washington needs, above all, a younger, more athletic and explosive roster, especially on the defensive line. It is in this context that Odafe Oweh emerges as an extremely attractive name. If the Los Angeles Chargers allow the player to test the market, the Commanders should, at the very least, strongly pursue his signing. After being acquired by the Chargers before the trade deadline, Oweh quickly stood out under coach Jim Harbaugh, showing immediate improvement and becoming an important piece on the defense. His explosiveness on the first step, combined with flexibility to play in different schemes and tireless energy, would make him a real breath of fresh air for Washington's defense, which lacks players capable of changing the pace of games. Of course, bringing Oweh in wouldn't be cheap, and the competition should be intense, with several teams interested in his services. Still, if the Commanders really want to make a defensive leap and sustain a winning project in the long term, this is the kind of gamble that needs to be considered. Investing in a pass rusher at the peak of his career could be the right move to transform the defense and relieve pressure on the rest of the roster. Washington Commanders may target Quay Walker to reinforce linebacker core. With the future of veteran Bobby Wagner increasingly uncertain, whether due to possible retirement or the pursuit of a new challenge with another franchise, the Washington Commanders are already evaluating alternatives to maintain the level of their linebacker core. Wagner's departure would open up an important space on defense, not only in terms of on-field production, but also leadership and experience. One natural option would be to invest again in the draft, betting on the development of young talents like Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles. However, General Manager Adam Peters could also opt for a more immediate approach, bringing in a player already tested in the NFL and still entering the peak of his career. In this scenario, Quay Walker's name emerges as an extremely interesting possibility. Walker, currently with the Green Bay Packers, is seen as an athletic, intense linebacker capable of impacting the game in various ways. He excels particularly against the run, demonstrating good reading of the game, physical strength, and explosiveness when attacking the ball carrier. Furthermore, he's an aggressive defender on blitzes, something that can add significant value to a defensive system that seeks constant pressure on the opposing quarterback. While there are still aspects to be polished, especially in pass coverage, Walker has a young profile with a high ceiling for development. Under the guidance of defensive coordinator Durantan Jones, known for getting the most out of his players and improving technical fundamentals, there's a strong argument that these limitations can be minimized over time. From a financial standpoint, the Packers' situation may also favor Washington. Currently, Green Bay projects to be $1.4 million over the salary cap, which should force the team to make difficult decisions during the offseason. If contract adjustments aren't enough, Quay Walker could end up becoming available on the market. If that happens, the Commanders should monitor the situation closely. Walker's projected contract is around 3 years and $24.86 million, a relatively accessible amount for a linebacker with the potential to be an immediate starter. Playing alongside Frankie Louvu and Jordan Magee, Walker could form a solid trio, balancing youth, intensity, and versatility at the second level of the defense. In short, if Bobby Wagner does not remain in Washington, Quay